All right, it's 2 o'clock. I'll go ahead and get started with the weekly weather briefing. This is Tyler with the Weather Service in New Orleans, and let's go ahead and get started. So situation overview right now, we have no dense fog impacts expected tonight, despite what we've been dealing with the last few days, but a limited risk for that wildfire smoke to get trapped again tonight near I-10 compared to the previous nights. Pattern change is expected starting tonight and into tomorrow. We'll have equal, 40 to 50% chance of rain basically through the weekend and into next week. Could see some more, more rain basically in the early part of next week, but we'll get into that here in a minute. But the long range pattern, generally speaking, is going to start to become a little bit more active towards the back end of this month. So looking at the forecast for the rainfall totals through this weekend, we have pretty much about an inch at most in most places, more like a quarter to a half inch. So, I mean, considering that's through Sunday, you can kind of get the gist that most of this rain is going to be relatively light in nature and not necessarily going to pose much of a flooding risk in this case. But with increasing moisture in that cloud coverage, we don't expect there to be as much of an issue with the smoke getting trapped near the surface, near the city, and thus we don't expect there to be as big of an impact to visibilities and commuters. As far as things go through the weekend, we expect scattered showers with winds becoming northeasterly, so that any kind of that smoke towards that city area would be starting to be pushed back that direction. That being said, it's still going to be pretty dispersed by that point, so it doesn't look like it's going to be as big of a risk. But like I said, the wind switching to northeasterly, it's going to be kind of indicative of a frontal system pushing through. And getting into next week, I also just wanted to kind of illustrate some of the uncertainties with continued rain chances into next week. We do expect there to be a coastal low, weak coastal low to develop off the Louisiana coast, but current guidance is pretty like uncertain in terms of exactly where it's going to track and how intense and things like that in terms of the development of rain bands and things that could be producing locally heavier rainfall amounts. Right now, we have two different solutions that are on the table. One that's going to be where you have the low kind of move a little bit more inland, and that would bring more onshore flow that can create a little bit heavier rainfall over our area. And then the other solution would be that the low stays more offshore, and we really don't see hardly as much rainfall as that in that solution than the one that I was talking about prior with the onshore solution. So wide range of solutions that are out there for this specific situation next week. So just keep an eye on that. But the main gist is that we are at least getting the chances of rain that we've much needed for a while now. Talking specifically anything tropics related, we're not expecting anything in the tropics anytime soon. We're near the tail end of the season, and at this point, do not expect anything for the next week at least. As far as the long range goes, we do expect, because of the pattern, we still expect there to be plenty of moisture and warmth in the area through the next 2 weeks or so. So we expect there to be elevated temperatures, not necessarily anything major. It's more just, we'll be in the 80s instead of the 70s, things like that. So it's not like it's as noteworthy as it was back in the summer, but it's still noteworthy nonetheless. As far as the hazard outlook for the longer range as well, denoting that active pattern switch, we do expect there to be a heightened risk for locally heavy rainfall heading into that week 2 range. With the active pattern coming in, just be more mindful of, we could have more impactful systems. So just stay tuned as things evolve in the forecast. As far as the drought monitor today that just came out, now 70% of the state of Louisiana is in it's exceptional drought, the highest drought you can get to, highest category, and this is considered, at least since 2000, it's the worst drought we've experienced. And those drought conditions are expected to persist through even through these rain chances that we're going to get. We're just in too deep of a deficit at this point to necessarily get ourselves out of it this easily. So it's going to take, stacking rainfall events on each other to really kind of build back that vegetation and things. So that being said, just to go to the tail end of this. No dense fog expected tonight, with limited risk for that wildfire smoke to get trapped compared to the previous nights. Pattern change is happening overnight tonight into tomorrow, and we'll be seeing more consistent rainfall chances through the weekend and into next week. And that long-term pattern is going to be a little bit more active, so it's just wise to stay mindful of these kind of systems that'll be coming into our area and enhancing rainfall chances through the remainder of the month. And with that being said, I'll take any questions you guys have now.